What up, YouTube? Coming back at y'all with another video. This one actually has a failed lifter, cylinder one. Got to pull the other head off. Got to pull the cam out, and the lifter's got to go down through the bottom because more than likely the wheel is exploded. So if you try to pull it up through, it's going to damage the lifter bore. So what we're going to do, go ahead and pop the lower radiator hose off. I already started taking the clamp off. We're going to get the water pump removed, take the heater hoses off. And then I'm gonna jump over to this side, stuff on the valve cover taken off, coil packs removed, valve cover removed, spark plugs, and then last would be the header. And then we'll go ahead and pull the head off, get all the head bolts out. Gotta pull the timing cover to get that. Gotta do the harmonic balancer to get the cam out. Radiator's gotta come out, and the fan assemblies. On the water pump, it's just 3 tins. But we want to go ahead and get the hoses that's connected to it taken off. It's 3 tins on the right side, 3 tins on the left side, and then you can't forget the 2 heater hoses here that are attached to the vehicle. On these cars, you could just take the clips out here, leave the hoses connected, or you could just take the clamps off and pull them off. Pretty easy. So let's go ahead and get that water pump removed. Access that lower bolt, we gotta take this pulley off, so let's go ahead and get that removed. All right, we got the water pump off. We'll get this valve cover pulled off on this side, get the coil packs pulled off, spark plugs pulled out real quick. We just got a few tins. It's hidden by the wire harness on this side. So 1, 2, 3. They didn't put the back one in, so 4 all together. And usually there's a clip here. It's broken, so just pull the wire harness out of it. And then looks like it's got an E85 sensor right here, so we'll unplug it from the coil pack. Another place the harness does connect is on this ground over here. So once we get the coil packs and stuff pulled off, when we get closer to pulling the head off, we'll pull this purge valve off the side of the cylinder head. It's a 15 there, and then there's a nut, and then with a stud, got to remember to put that ground back on. This also holds this side of the harness and then this side of the harness over here. Got one back. I believe that should do it. Alright, get the coil pack out. Now that we got the coil pack out the way, I'm just gonna go ahead and move the wiring. That way I can access all the 8s on top of the valve cover. There's 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4. I get just these 2 15s taken off on this bracket and for the harness. 15 nut. Nut off, and then we'll get this main ground out of the way. And then now this bracket that holds the harnesses away. Alright, so I got the harness moving freely out of my way. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this dipstick out. There's actually another 15 right on the side of the cylinder head right there. We got access to all the plugs and all the bolts on the valve cover. I was able to pull the harness out of my way that way. So let's go ahead and pull this valve cover off. Valve cover's out of the way. Let's go ahead and get all these 8s taken out of the rocker arm and pull the stand off same time. We'll keep them in order. The exhaust is straight, the intake is curved, how it is on the LS3 style heads. The LS2 heads just have the straight rockers. I just noticed it, but I'm gonna look back at the video. This piece was just under the valve cover right there. Piece of paper or something they had wrapped up. The rocker's off. Gonna pull the push rods out too. Get the 4 spark plugs pulled out. You got a 15 millimeter for the ground wire right here on the back of the head. The last bolt pulled out of the exhaust manifold. As you can see, we got access to all the head bolts down towards the bottom, up here, and then the last set across the top. So let's go ahead, start taking these head bolts out. I'll start with the back ones and make my way up. Get these bolts loosened. 90 degree. Get them out. Battery. Hello. Alright, that should lift it off. The head's off. We're gonna go ahead and take these 2 tins out, pull the lifters out, and then we'll get pulling the timing cover off. Gotta get the harmonic balancer bolt out. It's usually a 24. Yep, that's what it is down here, 24 millimeter. We'll get our pulley removal tool, get that on, get that out the way. All right, so I'm getting some of the timing cover bolts pulled out. I actually can't access this bottom one without pulling off this alternator bracket. So we'll go ahead and pop these 15s out that hold the bracket to the motor, and then we'll pull that out of our way. We got a couple of bolts up on the bottom down here, 1 and 2 to get off. So let's go ahead and get those out. I got the harmonic balancer pulled off, and you see the radiator is out. It was just the 2 tins at the top, and then transmission lines here, and then came right up out of there. 2 bolts on the back side that actually hold the condenser onto the top, and then the bottom just slides down in. Let's set the motor to top dead center real quick, and then we'll pull the cam plate off and get the chain pulled off. Our dial is getting close to being down there, and the piston is on an upward stroke. So we're gonna get it set at top dead center. We want that dial facing the notch on the cog gear down there, but you can't see it with the oil pump and stuff in. So we're gonna go off of the piston. We want it to be all the way up. That's about top dead center right there. That's right down the middle, and the piston is at the highest point. All right, so we'll get the 3 bolts pulled out of the cam gear real quick, and then we'll get the cam retaining plate behind here off. All right, so we're gonna get these Torx 40s out. I usually put some heat on them because they're typically have Loctite or they're stuck in there, and you break the heads of the Torx bit off, or you strip these out. These are your best friends when it comes to removing those front bolts. I always shock them with this brake tool first to shock the threads, and if they won't break loose even that way, then I'll pull out this butane torch right here. All right, we got them all loose. Go ahead and pop them out. These lifters on this side came out fine. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this back side out real quick. Make sure all these, yeah, they're coming out just fine. All these lifters came out, but look at the wheels on them. They are all pitted up badly. Cheap lifters will do that. Man, Bad. That's terrible. Broke the bottom of the wheel off. We'll go ahead and slowly get this thing pulled out, and then we'll examine all the lobe. Oh man. Yeah, it beat up this camshaft pretty bad. It might need a new cam. Yeah, so the cam won't come out with the condenser, so I got the AC machine hooked up. Gonna go ahead and pull everything out the system, and then I'll get the condenser pulled out. All right, so I had to take that bolt out, and that tin to be able, and then I took the top line off here to be able to lift the condenser up and pull the cam all the way out. So this trick I learned on Steve Morris's channel. Since I'm gonna be knocking the lifter down, this is here just to catch it so it doesn't fall in the oil pan. Use a thicker paper, that way the lifter doesn't just fall through. Still gonna lay a magnet in there to catch it, but it's just some extra security. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, I got the hammer, and we're gonna go ahead and knock the lifter down in the bore. We got it knocked down in the bore. I already got the magnet on it. Let me use two hands so I don't, make sure this thing don't drop. You see how the paper caught it from dropping down in the cylinder wall. All right, so the paper saved it from falling down. Look at that wheel, man. What wheel, I mean. All right, so we got another lifter in there. Looks like we're clear. Up and down, no problem. If it's not centered all the way, it won't drop in the hole. Yep, there we go. So that one's in and out, in and out. This one's the same way. Once I get it to line up properly, no hang up. Get that clear as day. So that lifter won't get stuck in the bore. All right, so we got the car pushed into the bay. Customer went with a stage 2 supercharged cam. He wants to later supercharge it down the road. We'll go ahead and start cleaning up the block, and we'll start putting the car back together. I got most of the surfaces cleaned up, all the extra gasket material and all that off the heads. I did notice that back plate, or this plate itself, is leaking oil back here. So we're gonna go ahead and swap that plate. But I got all the surfaces cleaned up. I blew out every single hole for the head bolts with air. That way we get all the coolant and whatever else bullshit is in there out of there. So I already know we're at top dead center. So we're right in the middle on the crank where we should be. So I'll line up the cam gear with the crank, get the timing all set. For my Dodge fans, got this SRT10. Should have did a video on it, but we're doing a clutch in it currently. So we stay busy, man. Got cars lined up after cars, lined up after cars. But hey, it's the only way to be successful in this industry. Keep yourself busy and do quality work. Let's get back to it. All right, we got the retainer plate going on. We got Loctite on our bolts, so let's go ahead and tighten up these torque 40s. Bolts are tightened down. Let's go ahead and get that gear on with the chain. On the gear, you want this notch facing straight down in the middle. Pro tip, I usually put it on the cam first and line it up. All right, cam's in. We got the dot facing over. I'm just gonna rotate the motor over. Make sure when this piston is at top dead center that is complete, and then we'll be good to go. Put Loctite on these 3 bolts, just some blue Loctite, and then torque them down to what ARP recommends. Always pre-soak your lifters before you put them in. Pump them up with oil. Don't forget the oil. Got the timing cover all cleaned up. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this seal out, throw the new one in. Got my little seal puller right here. That seal out. New seal is in. Let's go ahead and get this thing installed. Just like that, the front cover is on. I do recommend the 2 bottom bolts. Put all these in by hand, thread them in. When you put the 2 bottom bolts in, tighten the 2 bottom bolts first so it pulls the timing cover down and it will smush the silicone. I didn't put the orange silicone there. That's whoever did the job originally, but we're not doing the oil pump or anything, so I'm not gonna drop the oil pans. Use that long reach tool, get that balancer installed and put some Loctite on that bolt if it's not new. But see, the harmonic balancer's on. Gonna get the AC stretch to fit belt walked on real quick. Got that stretch to fit belt intact. Lifter time. Just gonna wipe everything out. We'll throw these lifters in. Got all the lifters in, both sides. I took the plate off because it had a pretty bad leak on the back of the trans. It's all fresh oil. Looking at the plate. What the hell? This is the same shit I found in the passenger cylinder head. Looks like a piece of paper towel or something got smashed up under there, but this gasket looks pretty new, but we're just gonna go ahead and replace it because it was leaking past pretty bad in the back right here. All right, getting the heads put on. Got the head gaskets laid down. Getting all the head bolts threaded in. And then we'll do our torque sequences. I'll go ahead real quick and throw that plate on just in case I accidentally drop a bolt or something. Don't fall down in the engine. So let me actually get the new gasket on that plate. We're getting the first sequence done. 25 foot-pounds. So the next pass is 50 foot-pounds. Gonna hit 50, do the sequence, and then I'll hop over to the other side. All right, so the last step for the sequence, 75 foot-pounds. So we're gonna go ahead. I already got 50 foot-pounds, 25, then 50. Now we're going up to 75. The final torque would be 25 on the smaller 3/8 bolts or 10 millimeter. But these other ones are 1/2 inch. Milwaukee is the only way to go, but this thing is badass. And it gives you a lot of leverage. $25 right there. So let's go ahead and we'll start on just these 10 millimeter bolts up here. All right, so we got all the rockers installed. Went ahead and torqued them all down to 25 foot-pounds. Gonna go ahead and throw this header up in here real quick. That way we can put the plugs and the wires and the coil pack. I already got this side all connected. Plug up the O2 sensor. We got the header resting up in here, so we're gonna go ahead and lower the car back down and get it bolted up. It's ARP hardware right here. And we got ourselves a brand new OE gasket. Always look at the arrow where it says down manifold side. So you want to make sure that this is facing the manifold and it's down. So let's go ahead and put that on. Header is in. Let's get these spark plugs in. Plugs and wires are on. Here comes the coil pack. Just like that, the coil pack is on. Got all the wires connected. Got the little safety tab in. All right, we got all that hooked back up. Got the upper condenser line, and I replaced the gasket too, just in case it wanted to start leaking. So I got that connected back. So we'll go ahead and put the radiator back in. One goes there, one rubber goes there on the bottom, and then the transmission cooler lines connect here. Did leak a little bit of fluid, so as normal, we'll check the tranny fluid, make sure it's all up to level and everything's good there, but let's go ahead and keep plugging away at this thing. Pro tip on the radiators, you got clips in the side of the radiator and the hoses. Before you put it in the car, it's always easiest to slip the clips back in. That way you don't have to push the line on and then be trying to fight to get this thing on. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in, and then we'll throw the radiator in. Radiator is back in. Got all the coolant lines and everything connected. So we're gonna go ahead, look down in all the intake holes, make sure that we have no debris or anything inside. Nothing fell down in. I usually tape them up, but I ran out of tape, so I gotta order some or go pick some up from the store. I'm gonna blow all of them out with some air and then physically take a look in each hole, make sure I don't see no foreign objects, and then we'll throw that intake manifold on. Clear, 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 clear. We got the intake manifold on. Let's go ahead and get all these 8s. Got the fuel line to cross over. Go ahead and knock this out. All right, the intake's bolted down. All the sensors and connections, everything is hooked up. We're gonna go ahead and get the air box put in, plug up the MAF. All right, just waiting on an oil filter to come and oil. Go ahead and put that on there. Got the crankcase ventilation to the intake, got the purge all hooked up, fuel line all hooked up and bolted down, lower radiator hose, upper Heater hoses, both of the belts are on. It's looking good. Just got to get this O2 sensor on this side plugged up, charge the AC system and put oil in it, and then we'll fire it up. Stay tuned. Got it all cleaned up under here. That way if there, oh, missed a little spot right there. I'll wipe that down, but that way if there's any leaks, we'll know. Everything down here is tied down. It looks good. Radiator's in the right position. Waiting for the oil filter to come, and then we'll fill it with oil. Got the exhaust pack connected. That AC Delco oil filter. Drain plug is nice and tight. Swiping down a little bit of this excess dirt, and then we'll add some oil and coolant. I did throw a zip tie right there too. Got that back O2 sensor connected, plugged up. Just like that, holding pressure. Our bucket of Dex Cool. Got the line full with no bubbles. Let's go ahead and put this coolant in. See if we can start it up. Oh, got us a dead battery. Then for the jumper box to go, and then we'll fire it up. It'll say ready right there, RDY. Ready. Let's try this again. It is alive. Sounding real quiet up here. Alright, we're gonna go ahead, get the AC put in. Looks like the Camaro takes 1.32 pounds. So we'll go ahead, 1.32. Got some oil and some dye going in. It held vacuum both sides, -29. So it'll go ahead and insert the oil there, and then we'll fire the car back up, put the AC on, and look over our work, and the customer will be ready to pick this thing up. So that'll wrap it up for this video. I appreciate y'all always watching. Like, comment, subscribe for more.